Hello everyone. In this video I will tell you 12 scams that you can face while traveling in Southeast Asia. And for sure you have to deal with one of them, at least. For each of them I will tell you how it may happen and how you can detect them, and also I will give you alternatives and how to avoid them. For those who don't know me, my name is Hugo. I'm traveling since 2 years now and more than 6 months in Southeast Asia. And if you want to learn more about traveling, tips, hacks and beautiful landscape as well, you can follow my YouTube channel. So I faced various scams during my trip. I've also learned from friends and also read some articles, and in this video I will sum up all the possible scams that you can face. Most of them are common, a little bit tricky, some of them are very vicious, but once you know them you will be able to detect them and to avoid them. I will group them in 3 different parts. Transportation, like when you take tuk-tuk, taxi, or when you rent a scooter, the money and cash when you do some exchange, and tourist attraction, and this is more specific to this attraction or this one. So you guys, you ready? Let's dive in. Okay, so the first group of scams is about transportation, and the first one is about taking a tuk-tuk or a taxi. Most of the time this will happen when you go at the airport or when you are in a busy attraction place. You will have many taxis, tuk-tuks that will take you from one place to the other, and if you do not ask for the specific price before, after they may try to scam you. Either for an expensive tour, at the end they will tell you like an expensive price and it's like nonsense. Sometimes they won't put the meter, and so you won't have proof that this is more like the normal average cost because there's no meter, and so now they can charge whatever they want. And at airports it's sometimes fixed charge and it's quite expensive. So for the alternatives for those ones, maybe avoid the classic taxi. You can take Grab. There's an application on the phone and it works pretty well, the Grab. I've used it for my whole trip and it was really nice in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Indonesia. It was perfect. There's no collaboration or no sponsor, just this application works pretty nice. If you want to do a tuk-tuk tour, you can, but it may be expensive, so be ready to negotiate in advance and be sure about the price before going into the tuk-tuk. And also another alternative for the airport, for example, many times I took the local bus and it was as fast as a taxi because we all take the same route, so sometimes it's even better and much more cheap. Okay, the second one is the nearby attraction parking. So for example, when you go to a temple, to an attraction, sometimes you will have people that will tell you to stop and tell you that the parking is here, while it's not there. There is like most of the time an official parking that goes with the temple or with the attraction. It happened to me at the Lion Dragon in Bangkok. I have a beautiful hikes to do, it's a famous one, and there you have only one main road to access there, and there's many restaurants. And I don't know why, but here everyone will make a big cross with their arms and tell you to stop, and you have to stop and park here. But it's not true. You continue and at the end you have the parking next to the entrance of the place, and it was, I guess, even cheaper than the parking they will charge you for. And I was quite shocked to see that by my own eyes. How is that possible that you have locals that do that to you, you know, so that's a bit surprising. The third one is the scooter scratches. When you rent one, most of the time you'll have to make a deposit, either cash and sometimes passport. And even in countries, it's only passport because it's the law. For example, in Laos, it was only passport. And in Vietnam, normally it's passport, but sometimes it was quite okay. And sometimes when you hand back the scooter, the owners will discover a new scratches and will ask you expensive charges to repair those scratches. And that's where the scams come in. You haven't done any accidents, the scratch were already there, but you have no proof. The only thing you can do is try to negotiate to lower the price they ask you for. But at some point they will never give you back your passport if you do not pay a little bit. This happens sometimes 2 times and you have to be careful for that. So 3 things to try to avoid that. First of all, try to search a little bit on Google Maps the best scooter rental place where they have good ratings. Preferably use the cash deposit because if anything happens, you still have your passport and you can still get away. In any case, anyway, be sure to film the whole scooter in front of them, to film the whole scooter and to name if you see scratches there, there, and they will be aware that you know how the scooter is and what scratches exist or not. If you don't do that, you give them the opportunity to charge you for new scratches that never happened. Another one with the scooter is the gas pump. Once you rent your scooter, you have directly to go to the gas station. You ask to the refill, you don't look at it, but they charge you more liters than you ask for. For example, you can ask 1 liter and they put 1 liter, but the price is a bit more expensive than it is normally. And this is because they didn't restart the counter and they let the old counter still there. The guys will just get in their pocket the difference. Be sure that when you ask for a certain amount, you just look that everything is set up to 0 before they start to put gas into your scooter. So like that, you're sure they put the right number of liters and you have the right price to pay for. The fifth one is the international driving license fine, and this one can be a little bit expensive. When you rent scooter, for example in Thailand, normally you need the international driving license. I think it's the same also in Laos, Vietnam, Indonesia. But some countries are less regarded, won't ask you for. But in Thailand, for example, it's a bit famous that in big cities you will have police patrol and that will stop you because you're a foreigner and you probably don't have your international driving license. If you don't have it, you will have to pay a fine. That's where the scam comes in. When they fine you, they don't give you receipt. And because they don't give you receipt, normally you should be free of other fine for 2 to 5 days. I think it depends. But if you don't have this receipt, you can have another police patrol 500 meters next to this first one, and you can be charged again because you don't have a proof that you've been fined by a police patrol. Police knows that and will try to charge you as much as possible. If they can charge you twice for the same mistake, they will charge you twice. If this happened to you, I'm sorry, you'll have to pay at least once. That's the way it is. When you get fined this first time, be sure to ask for the receipt. Be sure to ask for the proof. And if you don't know which proof, just Google it and be sure that they give you all the papers you need to. Because if you have another police patrol the next day or a bit later, you have the proof and they won't be able to charge you again. If you don't have it, you'll have to pay again second time. And if you still haven't learned, maybe a third time. So be sure already the first time to ask for all the document form. Okay, now the money sections. I have 3 scams about money related stuff here in Southeast Asia. The first one is when you will exchange currency at some currency exchange rate place store, and basically you have dollars or euros and you want the local currency. This happened to me here in Bali many years ago. We exchanged euros for some local currency, some rupees, Indonesian rupees, and basically they count with you all the money, and when you count with them everything was fine. And the currency in Indonesia is like for 100 euros you will have 1,600,000 rupees. So you can have a lot of bills and so it can be difficult to count everything. So if you exchange even 1,000 euros, you can have a lot of money. And they attract you because they have low rate or even they can losing money on that day. And so for you it's profitable. But because they do some manipulation when they count and take back some money for them, you will be the loser. And once you discover the tricks, most of the times you're not at the exchange rate anymore, you're already at the restaurant paying and you're like, wow, is something wrong with my money, something's missing. You go back, but you have no proof and the transaction is already done. So that's a bit tricky, that's a bit vicious from them, but that's a scam that exists. To avoid that, maybe one of the best thing is just to get cash at the ATM directly. If you have an online bank, most of the time you will have pretty fair rate and with really low fees. So for me now, that's my way of avoiding the currency rate exchange store, and honestly everything's fine for me now. And so the 7th scam, it's the false money exchange. And so basically this one, I've read it on Reddit. You have some bills, you want to pay something, for example a massage or a restaurant, something like that. The cashier will take the bill, try to change the money, something like that, and say, oh, I don't have enough, I'm sorry, and give you back your bill. But actually it's not the same bill, this time it's a false one. And now you have a false one with you and you will try to pay with something else, and the local will see directly that it's a false one, and now you kind of screwed up. So be sure to always watch your money, to be sure that they do not do some exchange and after giving you back this false bill or whatsoever. The 3rd scam about money is the guy that collection money. That you have some old mans on tours or near attractions, near temples that collection monies and bills money. It will show you a folder with many bills of many countries, and actually it's quite beautiful. He has all the countries in the world, but he doesn't have euros or dollars. That's a bit surprising, right? And so basically we will ask you if you can give him some dollars or some euros, or even maybe ask some exchange, but for an exchange that for him is very profitable, while he will not put this bill into his folder, but he will just pay for his stuff, his food or whatsoever. So you can help him if you want, but you won't really help him because he will continue to do that. So just be aware that kind of person you won't be able to do anything for him because that's his trick, and the best way is just to politely say no and just walk away. Okay, there was already a lot of scams, 8 in total, and if you have any questions for all those scams, please ask in the comments. I will be pleased to help you, and this can also help the others that have the same questions. Now let's dive in the last section, and this one is much more tricky, but also much more specific to this or that attraction. The ninth trick that happened to me in Thailand, where the temple is closed. I was walking to the Grand Palace temple. Actually, you can see the video right there. That wasn't the best temple, but I was walking there and an old lady came to me and said, "Hey, you're going to the Grand Palace?" "Yes, yeah, I'm going there." "Well, you can't. It's Sunday and it's closed now." And I'm like, okay, well, I did not know that temples were closed on a Sunday, and on Google looks like it's open. "No, but it's closed, it's like some ceremony. You can go there." And so I think it's better for you that you do like some maybe boat tour here. It's very nice, it's cheap, and you can go there. And she calls a tuk-tuk right now, and she talked to him in Thai. And the tuk-tuk is very cheap, like 10 or 20 baht to go there, or it's more like 10 or 15 minutes to go there. And everything goes pretty fast. And I was with my girlfriend, and we're looking at each other like something is a little bit wrong. So we kindly refused the offer. Okay, maybe we won't be able to enter, but I'm gonna check myself because that seems a little bit weird. We went there, and indeed that was weird what she said because everything was open. And at the end, I went on internet and I've seen a little bit, and I wasn't the only one. Many people have said that on Instagram or Reddit, where you have locals that say that the temples are closed, and their goal is to bring you to another attraction, another place. Most of the time it will be boat ride, where it's much more expensive. You'll still enjoy Bangkok, you will still do something, but they do that so you can spend a little bit more. That's a little bit vicious from locals to do that to you, you know. You really like try to discover a little bit the culture, and they tell you no, it's closed, go there, and you'll have to pay much more, etc. So I was a bit sad to have this scam in front of my face. I didn't know that that would be possible, but actually it's possible, and it happened many times to many people, mostly in Bangkok from what I've read, but that can happen a bit everywhere if locals have bad intentions. So go to the attraction, go to your first plan, and if it's not the case, you can do something else. But go check by your own eyes first. The next scam is the free guides. This one is half a scam, but sometimes when you go to temples, you will have free guides inside where it's kind of included in the tickets. You can visit the temple by your own, or sometimes you will have guides and give you information about the temples, about the history, about things that can be quite interesting to know. I felt that as a scam because that's not something you want, and sometimes they're literally following you. That happened to me in Indonesia, in the Taman Sari temple, beautiful temple in Yogyakarta. And you have free guides, and some of them really start to tell you to go there and visit this, while you don't want to go there directly, you want to take your time here. And the scam come at the end, where they followed you for 30 minutes, an hour, and even if it's free guide, they will ask you for some money because of tips, because they pass some time with you, and they kind of ruining the moment a little bit. It's the fruit basket photo. So this one happened mainly in Vietnam, but I've seen it also in Indonesia, here in Bali on the rice field as well, where you have the local workers that have on their shoulder the bamboo wood with two baskets, most of the time with beautiful and colorful fruits, that really sell those fruits in the street. But sometimes where they are near temples or attractions, they're here to sell fruits, but also to take pictures with foreigners, or even give the fruit baskets to you so you can take a photo with the fruit basket. And that's where comes the scam, because when they give it to you, they're like very kind and yeah, take a photo. But after that, they will ask you and follow you until you give them some money because you took a photo with their tool and they pass a little bit of time with you. That's a little bit tricky, and so you have to be aware of that, that if you do, a more general rule, if you do photos with local and they ask you to take a photo with them or with tool that they use or something like that, you may have to give them something after. So be aware of that, otherwise you may gonna have a bad moment with them. They can be very insistent while you either delete the photo or give you some money. The last but not least, it's kind of a big one and a little bit trashy, I would say, and it's the ping pong show in Thailand, or even just more generally, women bringing you in some bars. This also happened to me many years ago. We went to a bar where there was a ping pong show and you have like free drinks and it's very cheap. You go inside and at the end, well, you have the show. That's quite something, a little bit weird to be honest. And at the end, they bring you the bill, and the bill is crazy expensive. They will charge you for the beer and for some other things that you haven't took, and they won't even explain all the list of the bills. And it can be really, really expensive. I've read also some other similar stories when you have women that will bring guys in a bar. They will spend 5-10 minutes with them and after they will leave. And the guys will have to pay a lot for the alcohol, but also for the alcohol of the girls. And so that's where the scam starts. You have high bills to pay and you try to argue with the owner, and now you have big bodyguards just like that, like waiting for you to pay, etc., and even be like menacing. And for my own story, we get out in time by my father being more crazy than them, by shooting a lot. We pay what we consume and we just went out very quickly. Everything has the same pace as they were doing, but even a bit more crazy, and that worked. I couldn't say that this would work for everyone, and if you're already drunk, etc. For us, that was in the beginning of the night, so we were clean or conscious. So to avoid that, that may be a bit complex in the euphoria of a night, but if you start to see some shady places, if you start to be grabbed by people to go somewhere and they are a bit more insistent, this maybe something's coming up. So in those times, just try to avoid going there, to kindly refuse and just do something else. If the offer in the street is too good to be true, it's too good to be true. At the end, they will try to charge you a bit more extra and you will have to do something to get rid of them. Okay, so that was it. There was quite a lot of scams. So I hope you won't face them, but you may gonna, because it's kind of classic for foreigners to face locals or face some scams like that. So now you are aware of them and you know a little bit how to avoid them. And I hope that you won't fall into any one of them. If I forgot some of those scams, please tell them in the comment. That will help the others that will watch this video and prepare the trip to Southeast Asia. That will be very helpful. And go back to the video, be sure to watch all of them and that you will remember them when you will do your trip in Southeast Asia. Thanks a lot for watching and I will see you on the next video. Ciao, ciao.